Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is Idiom 7. Today we're going to look at the idiom to be one's own worst enemy. Yeah, this does come up. This is somehow related to news stories recently. So if we say to be one's own worst enemy, means to behave in a way that goes against one's own interests, advantages, etc. Well, let's look at this note too. When someone is their own worst enemy, they end up beating themselves or causing their own failure rather than one's opponent or competition beating them. That's what we mean if we say somebody is their own worst enemy. Okay, let's take a look at the first example. The politician Anthony Weiner tried to make a political comeback a few years ago and run for mayor of New York. However, he turned out to be his own worst enemy when it was discovered he was continuing the behavior of emailing sexual pictures of himself to more women. This behavior was the original scandal that forced him to resign as a congressman. Yeah, so who knows? It's possible he might have even been able to pull it off and win the second time. He had a lot of backing, but he couldn't help himself. He obviously didn't stop the original behavior, and we know since that time it's gone even worse. He's gotten in trouble again, and he's actually got prosecuted again for this problem. So he could not help himself. It wasn't like somebody else particularly beat him. He clearly beat himself. He was his own worst enemy. So he's a really good example of somebody who is their own worst enemy. Okay, we can look at a second example. Hillary recently came out with a book called What Happened in regard to her election loss, the last presidential election. However, many commentators claim that she was her own worst enemy due to her long list of scandals. Yeah. So these are two examples where you might say somebody was their own worst enemy. It was their own actions or maybe previous actions that caused their failure or led to their failure. Okay. Well, I hope that clarifies it. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.